After failing to get traction at the first Democratic national presidential debate, former Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper shook up his staff this week. Hickenlooper hired a new campaign manager, Emmy Smith, who previously worked with him on his 2014 gubernatorial re-election campaign. The house cleaning also included Hickenlooper's finance director, spokeswoman, and an aide. Patty, is this a reset button that can recharge the campaign, or is this rearranging the deck chairs?
Well, he's hoping it's going to recharge the campaign because otherwise he's still spending a lot of money going to New Hampshire this week. He's been back in Iowa. I think he feels he can do it. It was interesting because right after they left, he basically threw some of those staffers under the bus, saying it was their fault. But then he did backpedal on that, said it was myself, I wasn't putting out the right message, so that's good. You know, if you watch the debate, that wasn't the Hickenlooper we know. And you know, we like him when he's unplugged, we like him when he makes gaffes. At least if he were more casual, the Hickenlooper we know, I think it would play better on the national stage, and he might look like he's a little casual, but compared to the stiff we saw, it would help. And I think he's going to try to get back to his roots more with this campaign. If you watch Eric Swalwell's out, he was the interrupter in the last thing, so at least Hickenlooper wasn't doing that. But he is not giving up yet. You know, there's the whole report that people were trying to persuade him to run for Senate. He is not on that yet. He is definitely still going and hoping he will catch fire.
David, being pragmatic about it is... Okay, if there is that slim chance that he threads the needle and becomes a nominee, there's that. But if it's going to end, is the end sooner than later?
Well, he may not make the next round of debates because you need 130,000 individual donors, and he doesn't seem to be on track to get that. But the John McCain campaign, as of August 2007, was left for dead. I mean, they couldn't even afford yard signs in New Hampshire. And he managed to come back and win the nomination. So lots is possible, and Hickenlooper's a good retail candidate where you can go one-on-one with people, especially in Iowa, where one of his relatives was a three-term Republican senator, Burton K. Hickenlooper. So he may have a surprise in store. In any case, the people saying that he should drop out and run for Senate are wrong. First of all, as in the next topic, we already have a bunch of strong Democratic Senate candidates. Second, he rightly said he's not interested in that kind of job. He's been an executive his whole life, whether in the restaurant business or as governor, and he likes doing that. That's a different kind of mentality and skill set from being a legislator. And there are already way too many people in Congress who aren't interested in being good, hard-working legislators, but instead just in grandstanding and thinking it'll get them maybe to something else, like on cable TV or whatever, but they don't pay attention to the job. So good for him for that approach. I will say when your finance director leaves to work for the Beto O'Rourke campaign, that is a bad sign.
That's jumping on the Titanic to jump on the main or something like that. You're
right.
Not exactly helping yourself there. Natasha, what do you think about, I mean, it does feel from the Hickenlooper we know, one-on-one, that kind of quirk personality seemingly would work well in Iowa and New Hampshire, but not in prime time. Working the brewery circuit as he's been doing, I think would be effective, but there's only so many people who can get to breweries in Iowa and New Hampshire. Is there enough there from what we've seen to get him to prove his point with that quirky personality with the people there, or he's going to run out of steam?
Well, I certainly wouldn't underestimate him, and I wouldn't. He's the type of person who came from a very known within certain circles, and then to become mayor. So this is a stage that actually he probably feels fairly comfortable in, and might feel more comfortable just being himself. And for somebody who isn't even tracking in the polls, he sure made a lot of headlines this week. So people are paying attention to his campaign. Interestingly, I did think after the first debates, you know, those first polls were coming out. CNN had put something out. There was a lot of shifting and sort of numbers back and forth. But if you scroll down in their poll to the sort of the very, very bottom, there was a question about who people wanted to hear more from. Interestingly, Hickenlooper went down on that. You know who went up? Bennett. And I think that is an interesting point.
Joey, is it coming down to only one moderate Colorado should be on the stage, and Bennett has taken some of Hickenlooper's shine?
I don't think any one of them are going to be in the White House. And, you know, I don't worry about Hickenlooper running out of steam. Well, I'm not worried at all. But I think he's going to run out of money is what's going to happen. And money's the lifeblood of the campaign. You know, when that happens, you know, then I think that's going to be the beginning of the end. We may be seeing the beginning of the end. You know, an old dog doesn't just fall over dead in the yard. It climbs under the porch for a few days. Hickenlooper's under the porch. So let's see what happens.